Welcome back to the Filipino FM channel. So previously, I've done videos where we've made the perfect player, we've given the Philippines 4 perfect players, we've created some perfect wonder kids, and today we are going to create the perfect team. And what I want to see is, how long can the perfect team go without losing a match? So in making the perfect team, I've edited a number of their club details to make them as perfect as they could pretty much possibly be in the game. So I pretty much maxed out all of the things that a club can have maxed out in the game. The reputation is the highest it could possibly be. So reputation ranges from 1 to 10,000. A team that has just won the Champions League should be around that 9,000 mark. So the perfect team, I've given a reputation of 10,000. This is one of the most important factors of the game for attracting players. So in theory, they should be able to have and keep all the best players in the game. I've also given them the highest morale possible. So in theory, all of their players should be very happy. Looking at the facilities in the game, I've given them the perfect stadium with the capacity being 150,000 seats. So this should be the highest in the game. So they should be getting as much match day income as possible. I've also given them the best training facilities, youth facilities, etc. So this should allow them to find players, develop players, bring players in through the youth system. I don't think we're going to be going far enough to bring players into the youth system with the save, but in theory, they should be able to have excellent training. And finally, I've removed all of the debt from the club that I changed out to make the perfect team. And I've given them a huge £150 million commercial income, another £100 million sponsor, and I've removed all the debt from the club. So in general, and I've given them a £1 billion bank balance and a huge wage budget. So this is the perfect team. They have everything maxed out, the highest reputation, the best facilities, and the most money. As far as the club is concerned, they're essentially perfect. But of course, it wasn't enough just to make them the perfect club. I also had to give them the perfect players. So every player in the first squad became the perfect player. I believe this is 23 outfielders and 3 goalkeepers. As far as the nation's concerned, I also made them half English and half of them Filipino. The ones who are Filipino do have English as their second nationality. So what I'm hoping for as a kind of side quest here is I want to see England and the Philippines in the World Cup final to see who wins when 2 perfect teams come up against each other. But as far as the perfect team is concerned, they have 3 perfect goalkeepers and 23 perfect outfield players. I mean, they have essentially 2 perfect squads. They should never lose a game. I mean, they essentially have the perfect player at every position. Like if we click on the striker here, I've given him model citizen personality. He has 20s for all of his attributes. If we look at his player attribute, he has a 200 current ability, perfect everything here. I mean, he's the perfect player. I've even made all of them trained at the club and trained in England. I've also made all the players quite young, so they should stick around with the perfect team for a while. I've given them all 5-year contracts. Admittedly, the wages are pretty low. I've kept them on the same salaries that they were on before they were the perfect team, but I've given them 5-year contracts. The perfect team has so much money. Signing them all to new contracts shouldn't be a hindrance. But in addition to having the perfect team, I've also given them perfect backroom. So I've changed all of the coaches to be perfect coaches for all the attributes that are important for coaching. I've given them the perfect manager who has 20s for everything except tactical knowledge. I guess I forgot to change that. And I've given them the perfect technical director as well. I'm not really sure if that's important to them winning games since we're not having a huge long-term future to the club, but they have a essentially perfect backroom staff. So the perfect team has perfect everything, and they are currently sitting in 16th in the English Premier Division. And we're going to see how long they can go without losing a game. In the first season, they're not in continental competition, so they're just in the English Premier League. So I am fully expecting them to go undefeated in the English Premier League and to break all kinds of records. So with that, let's simulate forward to see how long it takes the perfect team to lose a game. I'm going to go 1 year into the future and let's see how they do. So I am 1 year into the future, July 1st, 2023. Let's see how they did. If we go to their history, of course, they have won the English Premier Division. But the question is, did they win every game going back? They have won they had one draw against Wolves, but otherwise an undefeated season. Oh, how did they draw against Wolves? They beat Man City away twice. How did they draw against Wolves? And Wolves came back. And Wolves came back from 2-0 down. What an epic comeback from Wolves. Wow. All right. Well, the perfect team won every game bar one. Let's actually look at the Premier Division and last season to see how 112 points, 119 goals, 12 goals allowed, 119 goals for, 37 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses. You could say they were a dominant team. Looking at the records, they set a bunch of them. Most points, most league wins in a season. Of course, they had the highest attendance and the highest average attendance as well. Most matches won in a row. I'm actually a little surprised they haven't set more records somehow. I was expecting kind of most team goals to be done at some point, but overall they were pretty fantastic. They also had the most assists, most clean sheets by a player in the season, highest average rating. Yeah, the perfect team was pretty good. So looking at the perfect team, we are currently on 51 matches without losing. Let's go forward one more season and see whether the perfect team can extend that record when, by the way, they'll also be in the Champions League. So let's see how they do there. All right, season 2 of the perfect team. No surprise, they won the English Premier Division and the Champions League and another FA Cup and another Caribou Cup. This bodes well for a perfect season. Let's go to their schedule and see how they did last season. And they lost to Liverpool. So looking through their schedule, they actually won every single game except a 2-2 draw to Fulham and a 2-0 loss to Liverpool. They only went 2 seasons, essentially. That's a little disappointing. I thought the perfect team was going to have 10 seasons undefeated, but they lost to Liverpool. I'm just a little disappointed there. Well, that's it. I mean, they've gone 2 seasons undefeated. We only got to 2 seasons. Okay. So looking at the records, I mean, it's nuts. It's 109 games without losing. But it's just a little disappointing that they didn't go further. I mean, they're the perfect team. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? I'm disappointed. But it sounds like the longest unbeaten run in football history went to AC Milan, who had a 58-game streak without ever losing. So, of course, our perfect team has absolutely smashed that, almost doubled it. But, only 2 seasons. I don't know. I was expecting a little more. Looking at the Premier Division, I mean, they were worse than last season, only 109 points only. But 133 goals for, I believe that breaks the record for most goals ever. Only 13 goals allowed, a crazy 120 goal difference, as they absolutely stormed to the title. Sure enough, that does give them the most team goals of all time and the most matches without losing, which ended at 73, breaking, of course, Arsenal's, I believe, 48 or 49 game record in the EPL. Well, to be honest, I have 12 seasons of this simulated because I wanted to do 3 World Cup cycles to see if England and the Philippines would match up. And honestly, because I thought the perfect team would go a lot longer without losing. So I'm just going to go ahead to the 12th season. Let's see what happened in 12 seasons. And we'll go from there. So see you in 2034. Welcome back. We are in August of 2034, just after the 2034 World Cup. But before we look at that stuff, let's see how the perfect team did in the last 10 years or so. So the perfect team has racked up every single trophy, and they've won every Premier Division. They've only won 10 Champions Leagues, but I think they were 11. They lost the Champions League? Who won that? They did win 3 Club World Championships. I believe that's every Club World Championship they would have been in. They also lost in the FA Cup and a Caribou Cup. What happened? So beginning with the Champions League, our perfect team won every single one until the 2032-33 season when Real Madrid won it. How did they lose to Real Madrid and then the perfect team won it again? What happened? So looking at that season, they lost to Real Madrid On pens. Oh my God. Oh, and it looks like actually Real Madrid signed some of the perfect players. That would make sense then. Okay, so if Real Madrid has signed some of the perfect players, granted our perfect team had 23 of them, but okay, that gives a little more explanation to what might have happened there. I didn't lock the perfect players into the contract with the perfect team, so there was the option for someone like Real Madrid to sign them. So I guess that would kind of explain why that happened. Now that we are on their schedule, this was the last season we came off. Let's see how they did in the subsequent seasons. So in 2024-25, all right, we had another, this is what I was expecting. We had another unbeaten season where they pretty much won every single game. They actually only drew in the UEFA Champions League. So that means they actually won every single Premier Division. That's pretty crazy. So 2025-26, they drew to Crystal Palace. I mean, the draws are disappointing too. They also drew to Chelsea. Okay, again, this is what I was expecting. Another undefeated season. They've gone 2 seasons being undefeated. 2026-27. Oh, 2026-27 is the peak. Oh, 2026-27 is the peak. They won every single match. This is what I was expecting. Not losing to Liverpool in the Premier Division. I'm expecting them to win every single match. All right, 2027. What's this? FA Cup quarterfinal loss to Chelsea at home. Oh, the perfect team. You've bottled it. And they lost to Barcelona and Liverpool. I mean, they got complacent after the previous season. I mean, this is terrible. I mean, 3 losses, and that's disappointing. Well, they went 3 seasons and they lost again to PSG. All right, well, we do have a team that went 3 seasons at least without losing. FA Cup final loss to Chelsea. And they won every single, and they bottled it in the FA Cup final. Perfect team. What are you doing here? Had to get the penalties to win the Champions League final. They didn't even have an undefeated season there. I mean, I want to see this better be a season where they win every match. And they've tied United. They've tied United. Oh, man. Well, the friendly doesn't really matter. 32-33, lost in the semifinal, of course, after pretty much winning every other game, but a few draws there. And I believe this is the most recent season. They were terrible in the most recent season. I wonder if some of the players have left at this point then, if they were essentially this bad. And they lost in the Community Shield too. Let's look at the Premier Division and see what the EPL looked like over the last few years. So in the previous season, 107 points, really solid there. No losses in 32-33, no losses there. Let's see the season where they won. There we go. This is the season where they won every game. 122 goals for, 21 goals allowed, 114 points. It's actually pretty ridiculous, you know. Oh, they did it twice. I didn't even notice that. They did it twice in a row. Oh. Okay, well, at least they had 3 seasons where they won every single match. 4 seasons where they won every single, and 100. This was peak here. 2024-25 was the peak perfect team season. 141 goals, only 14 allowed. That was the peak. And looking at pretty much all the good records, the perfect team holds pretty much all of them. Most points in a season, most league wins in a season. They also had the fewest league defeats, but Preston did it first in 1888-89. The highest average attendance, 128 matches won in a row. Okay, that's pretty wild. And 255 league matches without losing, which is actually not until now. So that means they lost since then. But 255 matches without losing, 128 matches in a row, 15 matches without conceding, most team goals. This is what I wanted to see from the perfect team. And looking at the perfect team's records, the longest we got was 222 matches without losing, which was much longer than we had previously. If to be honest, I was kind of hoping that they'd go like 1,000 matches without losing. Thought that'd be pretty cool. But 222 matches without losing, that's at least 4 or 5 seasons. So overall, I would say that's pretty good from the perfect team. And many seasons into the future, the perfect team does look a lot different. A lot of the perfect players have left, presumably some of them to Real Madrid. But, I mean, it's still a great squad. I mean, they still have a starting 11 that's just perfect players, essentially. Let's look at who some of the new guys are. So we have this Brennan Claridge. He's a future prospect. He looks terrible. He's actually really not that good. Actually, let's go by agreed playing time. If we perfect players are all there. So Joaquim Silva, you are our top guy. You look pretty good. I mean, you're no perfect player. Oh, potential ability of 190. All right, this is a good player. Wow. Okay. And they've just signed him from Benfica. All right, they found a good player with Joaquim Silva, so at least that perfect backroom staff is getting into good use. This guy's on 300,000 pounds a week. All right, let's check out Adrian's. He's nuts. Oh, wow. 186. Yeah, he's nuts. Okay, so they still have a pretty perfect team. So in 12 years, essentially, I'd say the perfect team did pretty well. I was hoping them to get like almost every season undefeated, but obviously with some players leaving, I mean, even in the second season when they had all their perfect players, they still lost the match. But 200 plus games undefeated, a ton of matches in the Premier League undefeated, and having 4 seasons where they won all 38 matches. Yeah, they did pretty well, I would say. But the real question is what happened in the World Cup? And to no surprise, England has won 4 in a row. So it doesn't seem like splitting it between England and the Philippines did anything. England still won the World Cup. Did the Philippines? The Philippines only made one World Cup final in the 3 World Cups they had. That's a little disappointing. All right, well, okay, 2026. Let's see what happened in the 2026 World Cup final. So I've gone all the way back to 2026. England won in pens. The Philippines lost on pens. We had 5 perfect players making pens, all who have 20 penalty taking attributes. And we got done in by Harry Kane. Oh, and Harry Kane scored a pen in the 90th, 94th minute. Oh, the Philippines could have won it. Congratulations, Britain. You brought it home. Oh, that's still somehow disappointing. Well, at least we won the Southeast Asian Championships. We destroyed in the Asian Cup, 19-0 in the Asian Cup semi and 10-0 in the Asian Cup final. That's so nutty. Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, at least we're breaking Thailand's dominance there, but it would have been 2030. We lost. Oh, okay. We lost to England in the World Cup third round. And even more heartbreakingly, it wasn't even the perfect players that scored. It was Phil Foden and Robbie Blackburn in extra time. I'm sure they probably subbed out the perfect players and brought in like normal people. And then what happened in 2034 then? We lost in the World Cup third round to Holland? I guess maybe some of the players have retired by now because it looks like a mix of perfect players and normal players. So I guess I'm sure some of the perfect players have retired. So the Philippines couldn't win, but England won with the perfect players 4 times. So yeah. But that did bring 2 Asian Nation Cups and 4 Southeast Asian Football Championships. So Philippines still doing pretty well. Let's actually look at England. How much do you want to bet they haven't lost a game? Maybe England was the true perfect team. So looking at their senior squad schedule, I'm just going to go all the way. Actually, I saw a loss in there. Spoiler alert, they did lose. So we started around here, I think. So they didn't lose there. They didn't lose in 2023. Didn't lose in 2024. Wow, they had a number of years without losing. When did they lose their first game then? So they lost the International League final to France, but it took 7 years for them to lose. So that's kind of what I was expecting. And then 2030, oh, they lost in a friendly to the Philippines before winning the World Cup, including a win against the Philippines. But England has just lost the 2 matches in 12 seasons. If we look at their records, that equates to most 88 matches without losing. That's pretty nuts. So maybe England was the perfect team after all. Well, that's all I've got. That is 12 seasons of the perfect team. It took 2 seasons to get the perfect team flowing, but after that, as I mentioned, they went 222 games as their longest non-losing streak, including 77 matches won a row, 4 seasons where they won every single match in the English Premier Division, and won every EPL title and 10 of 11 Champions League titles. So overall, a pretty good team, but somehow I'm just left wanting a little bit more. Well, anyways, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with more content soon. Bye.